debated on doing some skiving, and it will probably make it easier when I go to turn it right side out. But at the same time, this is only 4-ounce leather. I mean, it's somewhat stiff, but I don't think that I need to skive it. Regardless, I'm going to punch the holes first, and if I decide to skive it after that, then I'll do it. But I don't think I'm going to. Being 4-ounce, it's not that heavy, and I think I'll be able to turn it okay. So, either way, I need to figure out if I'm going to put a pocket, an outside pocket on it, and how I want that pocket to be. So, and what size I want it to be. If I sit and figure it, it's going to be the width of the bag is going to actually be only this wide from here to here, not quite that wide. Which, if I take a ruler out, is roughly 12.5 inches. So it'll probably, after all the turning it right side out, it'll probably be about 12 inches. And it'll probably be 14.5 inches tall, roughly. It's not a super huge tote. I find a lot of people, when they have these tote bags, they don't really need a super big tote. That's why I'm going to put an inside pocket in it, and I'll put a key hook inside, something to hook your keys on. And that's just a simple little hook that goes in there. But usually what I find is that if it's too deep and too wide and too big, people don't use it. They don't carry it. The lady that bought the Jessica tote doesn't carry it as much because it's too big. It's bigger than she really wanted. But that's the size that she wanted. Funny, huh? So I'm thinking a pocket, this size pocket might be kind of nice on the outside. I wouldn't fasten it with the rivets. This will fasten with rivets on the inside. I think if I put one in, I'm going to put it in a little lower and stitch it on the front. And I think I'm going to cut one out just like this. It'll be just the size of the front. And I think that's what I'm going to do, is cut one out just to do that. So, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. And we'll put that on the front. Might go a little bit wider because I think this is only not quite, it's 5 3/4 wide, so I might go 6 wide. And 5 1/4 deep. Might go 6.5 wide. It'll probably look more proportional at that point. So, yep, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I set my pocket on here, and I got everything in the position that I wanted it. I put my triangle here and my ruler here, and I weighted them down so that they hold my position. So all I got to do is gently set my pocket back in here, and I have some two-sided tape on here, and that's going to hold it in. I hope. We'll cross our fingers on that. But I'm going to let you see me screw it up first. And then you can see it. See, you saw it here first on Mr. Tully's channel. Some screw it up royal. I decided to go with a pocket on each side. And this pocket is 7 by 8. Make sure I put this on the right way. Fortunately, this two-sided tape really sticks well to this leather. I'm really surprised. This leather is not, the dye, the color is not struck through all the way, which is fine. That's not a huge deal. I am going to bevel and burnish the tops because I'm not going to roll it. I thought about rolling the edge, thought against it. What a pain in the butt. I'm trying to make this a pretty quick and easy bag to make because some of my bags just consume a lot of time. I want to be able to knock this one out in a day if I have to. So there it is. If you don't have one of these, inexpensive. This is just a kiwi brush. I had my wife pick it up at Walmart last time she was there. Just for this kind of leather, just to keep it clean. Just brush the stuff off it. It's easy that way. So I'm going to sew this one in, and then I'll do the other side same way. I know it looks really matchy, but for this one, I just want to do it all to match. Next one will be contrasting. We might do a black with some red panels on it. Something really wild. Something that'll stand out in a crowd. So I'm just going to make my stitch line, punch this out. I have to do that over on a granite bench. Wanted to drop in and say, this is about 22 inches of stitching all the way around here. So it's kind of a lot of stitching when you start looking at it. And you don't have to stitch that all in one go. You could split it. You could start at the bottom and stitch up, or you could start at the top and stitch to the middle and then do the other side. You don't have to do it all in one go. I do it all in one go just because I've been doing it long enough that it doesn't bother me to do that. Some people find it a little intimidating to do a long stretch like that. So you don't have to. Projects that get, this is a pretty sizable piece. And bigger projects, some people are intimidated by doing them and think that you can't do them by hand, that you need to use a sewing machine and stuff like that. You really don't. You find little ways to do things to break it up a little bit. When I did that rifle case, that was a long project. That was 46 inches long, and that was a lot of stitching. A lot of stitching. And a lot of pieces of leather, a lot of pieces to go through. There was 4 pieces of leather plus the fleece lining that was in there. So when I was doing the binding on there, that was 4 pieces of leather, the 2 pieces, there was 6 pieces I had to go through. And that's a lot. In some places when I was doing the handle, there was actually 6 pieces of leather plus the binding, or the fleece. So it's a lot to go through, and it can be very intimidating. And that one, I did about 24 inches at a time. I didn't do it all at once. Broke it up into 24 inches at a time. There were good places to tie off and hide that where I tied it. And I could tie a good solid square knot in it and just hide it and go on. So, you just gotta, if you want to do it that way, you can. If you start here and stitch up to the corner, you can tie a knot in it, tie your square knot in it, and tuck it under. You can right in between the layers. It's not a problem to do that. You can do it from the inside, so it's easy to conceal. Or you can melt it off on the inside. Your choice, doesn't matter. I'm just going to start over here, and I'm going to come around and just do it that way, because that's just the way I'm going to do it. But it's just different options. I mean, you can, when you're doing a bigger project and you got long stitch lines, there's options that you can explore. When I do a belt, I don't do the whole perimeter of the belt in one line. I'll start at the point and work my way to the buckle, and then I'll do the other side the same way. So, of course, those are, longer belts. I do fat guy belts, so you do a 48-inch belt, that's a lot of stitching. A lot of hand sewing. That's why I don't like doing them. But one of these days, I'll get a machine and it'll help me out. I'll get it done. But don't be intimidated by bigger projects. You just got to learn some different ways to work within some of your limitations or some of the limitations of the project. I'm kind of hoping that the colors are showing up right, but I know in person this looks probably a lot better than it does on camera. I really like the way this kind of a burgundy cognac color, cognac, whatever they call it, really is set off with that kind of natural colored thread. Really, really looks good. And it makes me want to do an exposed stitch line along the sides as opposed to being hidden inside the bag. And it also makes me want to do a roll at the top. I'm really starting to think hard about doing that, just because that stitching is just going to really set the bag off, kind of make it a whole another level of a bag. Let me zoom this back out. It'll kind of set it off. If I take and do a burnish along one edge of this, I can do an overlay about 1/4 of an inch, and I can get a stitch line, a visible stitch line up the side. And I think that would look just absolutely awesome. And then when I go to turn the bag out, it'll show, it'll leave the stitch line, because it's going to look, there's always an ugly stitch line at the bottom here when you turn them out. It's just ugly, and I don't care about that one. But the one on the side would just be beautiful again with that burnished edge there. I think it would look awesome, and I'm thinking really hard about doing that. If I do the rolled edge at the top, to have that stitch line come up and go around the top and back down the other side, I think that would just look fantastic. And then if I do the stitching around the rivets here, around the handle, I think it would just really set it off. I think I'm probably going to take a cut some strap for handle material, and I think I'm going to do a the 2 layers, and stitch that around the handle. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do for the handle yet. I might just do a rolled handle, like you've seen in some of my other ones. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. But so many decisions. I'm seeing how that thread looks on there, and it just looks so cool. I'm really, really debating on exposing it all around the bag. It would mean a lot of extra work with skiving and rolling the top, because that would have to be skived down. I might take a scrap of leather here and see how it skives real quick, and go from there, I guess. Make the decision at that point. I think that's what I'll have to do. So there it is. With the, I know the light's glaring. I'm sorry. Still have to do some work with that. I'm going to put a filter on there somehow. But I think the highlighted stitching is going to be awesome. That rolled edge on the top just makes the whole bag. I don't care who you are. That just makes it all that much better. So, I don't know, I'm pretty happy with that. I don't know how I could not be happy. It's a good sized pocket. I think it is 7 inches tall by 8 inches wide. And I don't know, it looks great to me. This is not perfect leather either. It's not really a prototype. I've made this style before. It's a new pattern. I redid the pattern a bit so I could make the bottom of it a little bit wider. I had it kind of at 3 inches. I made this one 4 inches wide, just so it was a little wider at the base. So hopefully it'll come out okay. And the leather is, Tandy had a sale recently, well, not too recently, but a while back, where their utility leathers were on sale for like 60 bucks a side. I can't pass something like that up. And it's good leather for prototyping, and sometimes I just like to make stuff with it, and I can offer it at a better price for somebody that maybe can't afford that premium leather. Because some of that premium leather stuff is, man, $300 a side. Some of that stuff's expensive. Especially when you start getting into using kangaroo for lining and stuff like that. And I try to stay away from doing that kind of stuff because most of my customers just don't dig it. But they do dig stuff like this. And I can, you know, still make a decent profit on it and offer a product that the customers, my customers, can afford. So that's where I try to go. So I can go up to Tandy, and when they're doing $60 a side, and I can buy half a dozen sides,